Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me for the Minnesota's new Secure Choice Law, Your Employer Retirement Plan Options Explained. My name is Jenna Witherbee. I'm one of the advisors at 401k Plan Professionals. If you're not familiar with our team, we spend 100% of our time helping plan sponsors and their employees with their retirement plans. I've been on the team at 401k Plan Professionals my entire career. I studied finance at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. I obtained my Series 7 and Series 66 licenses, and I work with many small to mid-sized companies in several different industries. I wear many different hats, helping them with the investment due diligence, doing employee education, consulting when it comes to the plan design of the plans, fee benchmarking, and vendor proposals. And these webinars that we do are a part of our overall webinar series. It's really just a value add for not only our plan sponsors that we work with, but also their employees and really anyone else that can find value in information regarding 401k plans and staying up to speed on what's going on in our industry. We work with over 100 different retirement plan clients. We're located in Minnesota, but we really have clients all over the place. We do a variety of in-person and virtual type education and meetings, and we are independent. We work with many different um, many different providers. So today's presentation about the new Minnesota Secure Choice Law is going to walk you through not only the information on that, but other options that you have available to you as a plan sponsor. So I'll take the next 25, 30 minutes or so and give you a lot of information. There's also going to be time for Q&A. You can certainly drop any questions in the chat as I'm going through. And this is just one of many webinars that we have scheduled for 2026. Near the end, I will also show you a full list of the webinars that we have slated for this year with a QR code, and it can take you right to the registration page. And I always tell people, even if you don't think you can join a webinar live, still register if it's something you're interested in, because you'll get a recorded link from the webinar as long as you're registered. Feel free to share this with others, and the recording from this will be out on our website as well as our YouTube channel. Okay, so we'll go through the state mandated program, other employer sponsored retirement options, and just additional resources that you have. So the Secure Choice Retirement Program just launched in Minnesota, and this isn't a new concept. There are several states that have deployed something similar, but this is really just legislation that was passed to encourage retirement saving programs be available to all employees. There are some industries that can really benefit from something like this. So think retail, construction, even self-employed individuals that haven't ever explored setting up their own plan in the past. Um, so, like I said, Minnesota is not the only one. If you look across the US, the states in purple have enacted laws. The blue and orange have had recent efforts or studies, and in black, those states haven't had any efforts so far. It's also notable that many states have passed legislation about financial literacy education in public school curriculum, and we're excited about that. I think we have a long way to go, but there is this movement towards more accessibility of financial literacy and ways for people to save for retirement. And I would imagine in coming years, we'll see more and more of it. So, the why behind this kind of legislation, really at the end of the day, we have a retirement savings deficit. Many people aren't saving enough for retirement. And the goal is to, again, increase the access that individuals have for employer-based retirement savings plans. Workers are 20 times more likely to save for retirement if they can do it automatically through their paycheck. And about a third of workers in Minnesota are not covered by a plan. That's about 700,000 employees. And so this is just one step in the right direction. It will take some time as well. I'll show you the phase in. timeline with this kind of a program. But the rule is employers with 5 or more employees who do not already offer an employer retirement plan are required to enroll in the Minnesota Secure Choice Retirement Program. If you have 1099 employees, that does not count toward your employee count. Also worth mentioning that part-time employees do count toward this employee count. Employer contributions are not permitted in this program. So when we're talking about secure choice, it's really a Roth IRA or an IRA program that is funded by only employee dollars. Okay, so the only contributions to this program will be wages from the employee's checks. There are penalties to the employer if you do not comply and if you don't have an exception. We'll talk about that more in a moment. 5% is the initial contribution from an employee's paycheck, and then there's a 1% auto escalation each year until they hit 8. Employees on their own, they can always opt out or decide to save something other than the 5%. Contributions are deposited into an IRA in the name of that employee, and there is an investment lineup. So the employee will be able to direct the investments within that lineup. This program does have a board of directors that oversees the rules of the program. The board is essentially who's monitoring and selecting the investments. Communication is going to be critical for this program. So employers are going to need to communicate with their staff about the payroll deduction and their options and how they can opt out if they want to. And again, there is a phase-in approach based on the size and type of employer. So even though it's effective 1/1/26, this will really be rolled out over the next couple years. So the employer requirements for this, again, it's if you have 5 or more employees and you don't already offer a retirement program. So if you don't have a 401k or a 403b or a simple IRA plan, you're going to need to either start a plan through Secure Choice or start your own plan, which we'll talk about more in a moment. So there's mandatory enrollment. Employers cannot opt out unless they offer a different plan. Employees can always opt out. And again, this is employer contributions only, no employee payroll deductions. The employer is responsible, though, for deducting and remitting those contributions. So there's no cost per se to the employer, but there is administrative time, bookkeeping time that is involved in this program. And we talked about the automatic savings structure. Employees may, of course, adjust their contribution rate at any time. The default with this is kind of interesting. It's default into the Roth IRA, so using after-tax dollars. If an employee wants to switch it over to traditional pre-tax dollars, they can do that, but the default is Roth. So right now, today's date, January 29th, 2026, we're really in this voluntary enrollment period. So there won't be any mandatory, opt-ins until April 1st. And in this chart, you can see it depends on your size, your number of employees, in terms of when your phase-in approach is. But it spans from April 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2028. I just saw that recently they have now a portal that has a little more information. We're kind of waiting and waiting and waiting for more information to come through. And they do now have a portal for both employers and employees and some more informational type sheets online. You should be receiving a letter explaining what your options are and the opt-out process and things like that. So if you're an employer with 5 or more employees, just make sure that this is on your radar. So you'll be getting more information. But at the end of the day, the employer is responsible for deducting the contributions, remitting them to the program itself. These are IRAs set up through a provider called Vestwell. They're responsible for any payroll-related admin costs. So let's say you need to change something or add a feature through your payroll software or with your payroll provider, that may have an additional fee. But again, there's no actual program fees expected for the employers. The employee does have a nominal annual fee on the IRA, and then of course the investment fees would be paid by the employee. We talked about how the contributions are defaulted to go into a Roth. The employee may switch over to traditional IRA, pre-tax dollars. Roth IRA key benefits are not only are they funded with after-tax dollars, but then the earnings grow tax deferred and you have tax-free withdrawals on your contributions and earnings as long as the account is open for over 5 years and the employee is age 59 and a half or older. If an individual takes money out prior to hitting that 5-year mark, you would have to pay regular income taxes just on the earnings. So some questions that we've gotten have been surrounding location of the company. So if an employer is based in Minnesota, but has employees that live in, say, Iowa or North Dakota, well, those employees need to enroll in the program. And that answer is yes, since the employer operates in Minnesota, enrollment is required. However, remember, the employee always has the choice to opt out if they prefer. So now employee participation. We talked about that automatic enrollment rate of 5% of their pay, the auto escalation, they can always opt out. Again, that Roth IRA is the default, and traditional IRA options are available. Required minimum distributions, by the way, that kick in at age 73, those do not apply to Roth IRAs. Required minimum distributions down the road would just apply to any money in traditional IRAs. We talked about that 5-year rule. It's really an IRA product, and the employer is acting as the conduit by which the dollars get from their paycheck over into this Roth IRA product. And it has really good portability too, meaning, if an employee changes jobs and they go from employer A to employer B, who also participates in secure choice. Oh, great, I've already got this Roth IRA opened up. So now my contributions go into this same account just from a different employer. So switching gears a little bit. So employers, when they get this notice and they're looking at, okay, I can opt into this secure choice program. What are my other options? Well, that would be starting your own retirement plan. And this is really the space that I work in. So I just want to give you some ideas on alternative options to the secure choice program. There's some advantages for sure. Then I'll walk through kind of some case studies and maybe what type of product will work better for different scenarios. But a 401k plan is an employer-sponsored retirement savings account. It lets employees set aside some money into their account, invest in different mutual funds. Employers can contribute to 401k plans as well. So that's a big differentiator between secure choice and having your own 401k. So maybe an employer wants to have a match to encourage people to save. Maybe this will help you attract and retain employees. They can also do a profit sharing contribution, either on top of a match or instead of a match. That's just another way to incentivize your employees you can reward them for their length of service and their loyalty to the company. And you got to think too, as an employer, you could be a part of this plan as well. So it's definitely, as an individual, you can participate, you can get the match, you can get the profit sharing as well. And so here's kind of the main differences between secure choice and the employer plan on the right. So secure choice, we talked about very little time and cost to administer, very portable, should work really nicely with most payroll processing systems. It helps you calculate the deduction, you remit the contributions. It's pretty self-serve in terms of the employee. There's the program in place to get you started and be able to comply with this state mandate. On the right, employer-sponsored retirement plans, they definitely have more flexibility in terms of plan design. Higher contribution limits is a key difference. So with secure choice, it's an IRA product, so you're subject to the IRA limits. which for this year, it's 7,500. On the 401k side of things, the regular limit is 24,500. And then again, that ability to put in employer contributions, match, profit sharing, you get to decide your formula. So you have a lot of flexibility there. This probably will lend to more employee engagement, more loyalty, more investment options. So you don't need to follow a course with secure choice. You're just going with what the board of directors has decided, and you're more limited versus on the 401k side of things, you can have more choice and flexibility. There's also the tax advantages for employers. So by you putting in the match profit sharing, that's a deduction for you as an organization. Now, kind of branching off from this concept of having your own 401k plan, a pooled employer plan is a type of a multi-employer 401k plan. And this allows unrelated employers to kind of band together under one single retirement plan. And the reason why you would do this mainly is to share in administrative, record keeping, and fiduciary duties through a provider called a pooled plan provider, a PPP. I know we have a lot of acronyms going on, but a PEP, a pooled employer plan, really lets you offer a professionally managed 401k benefit while minimizing your own plan sponsor responsibilities. That's the key there. And this table really just shows the difference between your own single employer plan. On the far right, you can see you do have a number of responsibilities versus the blue columns in the middle offering a pooled employer plan. So let's start with the column on the right. If you offer your own 401k, sure, you need to do things like consult on the plan design, make sure your eligibility requirements, the match, the profit sharing, the vesting, the distribution options, they're set up how you want. You not only have to provide data annually for the compliance testing, you're reviewing, signing, and filing the Form 5500 with your tax return. You are monitoring eligibility for your staff, handling beneficiary tracking, reviewing and signing off on any distributions. You are managing the participant communications. And also, I wanted to mention when you do work with a team like ours, let's just say, sure, we're helping you with these responsibilities and we're taking as much as we can off your plate and we're making sure that you have what you need. You're not just totally left off on your own. But you can see that in a pooled employer plan, the columns in the middle in the blue, as an adopting employer, your responsibilities are much less. So, sure, you're still reviewing and monitoring your providers. You are selecting your plan design features. And of course, through any plan setup, you are deducting and remitting contributions on time. On time payroll submissions is really, really important. But you can see that a lot of things are outsourced to either the financial advisors you're working with or even the pooled plan provider themselves. So if you give them good data, they are handling things like the eligibility, beneficiary tracking, making sure everyone's getting the notices that they need, they're reviewing and signing off on distributions, things like that. So at the end of the day, the power of a pooled employer plan is that you are essentially outsourcing a lot of your duties as a 401k administrator. In a lot of cases, it's less expensive. Not every single case. I've priced out plans both ways where maybe it's really similar in pricing to having your own plan, or sometimes the PEP is a lot less expensive. But I also think too, it's your time of administering. So some plan sponsors we work with, they want to just get things off their plate. And the 401k is, in a lot of cases, one of many hats that they wear. And so this is just a way for them to kind of outsource some items and be able to focus on different things. I'd say one of the myths with a pooled employer plan is that the employers in it have to be related in some way. You do not. And you don't even need this same plan design. as other plans in the PEP with you. So you can still have your own standalone plan design. We want our eligibility this way. We want to have a 50% to 8% match. We want to have a profit sharing component. Here's the distribution rules that we want. So you can still select some of those individual plan design features. You do not need to be related in any way to the other employers inside the PEP. Just as a resource, if you're kind of wading through options and want more information, we have a page of our website that talks about our pooled employer plan. It's called 401k Collective. You can scan this QR and it'll take you there. But Gina on my team, she did a really good informational short video about PEPs. If you're wanting to kind of dive in deeper there, there's certainly some resources there for you. But if I was an employer and I don't have a plan yet, I would want to know, tell me about secure choice, tell me about having my own 401k. Oh, and then what about having a PEP, being a part of a PEP? What are the advantages? What are the differences? What are the things that I need to think about? And so I think that'll be helpful for you. So again, PEPs, they're efficient. You can outsource a lot of the fiduciary and administrative duties, still provides you with plan design flexibility, and it can be a cost-effective solution for smaller employers, but even large as well. So there's really no specific size. The PEP can be advantageous for plans and companies of all sizes. So there's a lot that goes into administering a retirement plan. The three main fiduciary roles would be having a named plan fiduciary, a plan administrator. So in our case, we chose Newport, which is an Ascensus company. So they're our pooled plan provider. So they're assuming discretionary authority for kind of those traditional plan sponsor responsibilities, relieving the employer of many of the fiduciary obligations. Newport Ascensus also acts as a 316 administrative fiduciary. Plan sponsors love this one because there's required annual disclosures that need to go to your participants. There's fund changes. There's maybe safe harbor notices, QDIA notices, fee disclosures, automatic enrollment notices. So all that kind of communication and required notices can be handled by Newport Ascensus. And then on the right would be our team. So 401k plan professionals, we can sign off as a 338 investment fiduciary, which means that we have discretionary authority over the plan investments. We're still providing you with the investment due diligence and showing performance and how we are looking at fees. But at the end of the day, we can just say, here's the analysis and here's the change that we are going to make. So we're responsible for selection, monitoring, and management of the investment menu in the plan. So here's just an example. Let's say we've got a plan, wants to be a part of the PEP. You'd have a base fee, a per participant fee, a trust and custody fee by way of an asset charge. And then the advisor fee would be custom priced based on the services that we would be providing you and the asset level of your plan. Here's just a quick look at some of the features with the PEP. So very similar, if you do have a 401k, you're used to having, a dashboard, both for the plan sponsor and the participant. There's an app, so you can have full functionality of viewing, making changes to your accounts right through the app. There's a quick enroll feature, and there's Spanish language capabilities as well. I just wanted to quickly mention there's employer tax credits as well to starting your own 401k plan. So in a lot of cases, if you're standing up a plan for the first time, whether it's your own or a part of a PEP, there's can be some real cost efficiencies there. So definitely something to think about when you're weighing secure choice versus your own plan. But if you remember anything about PEPs, it's really these three main things. As a plan administrator, you can read for small businesses, but large ones as well. Okay, so here's kind of the key questions that I would ask yourself to kind of weigh your options. Do you want a plan that is hands-off with no fiduciary responsibility, no filing, really from a compliance standpoint, just want a do it for me kind of approach? Do you want to offer a plan at zero direct cost? Do we want to use our retirement plan as a way to attract and retain employees? Really, there I look at that match and the profit sharing component. If you are having a hard time with hiring people, getting them to stay, if they're asking a lot of questions about benefits, maybe they're coming to you from other employers that do have really robust plans. It might be something to think about there if you don't have a plan yet. How many employees do we have? Are we expected to grow? Do we want to really customize some of those plan features, et cetera, et cetera? So lots of different things to weigh out, and we can help you with those discussions and the decision-making process. Okay, so lastly, I just wanted to share some ideal candidates and some success stories. Some ideal candidates for the PEP. Maybe you're overburdened with the administrative duties. Like I said, this is one of many hats that maybe a CFO or HR professional wears. And so this is a way they can really outsource. Large plan filers that require a plan audit. That's another nice feature of the PEP is there's still an audit, but you're sharing together in those audit fees and the work involved in the actual audit. So here's a manufacturing firm, 8 million in plan assets. They have over 200 participants spread over 3 different locations. So some pain points for them, you can see in the top box. Their plan audit every year, very expensive, takes a lot of time. They've had a lot of turnover with their client service rep, need for divisional reporting and access to data, cumbersome loan process, hardship approvals. They're seeing a lot of those. And so the PEP for them might be a really great solution. So they outsource a lot of that admin, reduction of time and cost for audit as well. That'd be a big one for them. Here's one business owner, no retirement benefit yet, 12 employees, they're growing. They are finding they really need to compete with their peers for employees. Their current employees are maybe asking for more robust benefits. They know the state mandate is coming soon for them. So the PEP might be a nice way for them to not have to comply with the state mandate, start their own plan, and be able to retain and recruit employees. And here's one that actually would be a good candidate for secure choice. Business owner, no plan yet. They're small. They have 6 employees, including the 2 owners, not looking to grow. No one's really asking for anything. They asked their current employees, only one person said they'd participate. The owners aren't really looking for another place to invest. They don't see the need for anything very robust or complicated. And so secure choice, sure, might be perfect for them down the road. Maybe, yeah, they want to graduate to their own 401k plan or be a part of a PEP. But for now, secure choice is probably a really great starting point. Okay, so we have information not only on our website, but also our YouTube channel. So we have recordings of all of our past webinars and on-demand education out there. The middle QR is the one I mentioned earlier, more information on 401k Collective, the pooled employer plan. The Minnesota Secure Choice program does have its own website. So there's not a ton, but there is information out there. There is a phone number you can call as well. So if you have specific questions, I think you can put in your email too if you want updates as more information is rolled out. And then I wanted to mention if you are a plan sponsor, I have a on-demand fiduciary training series from 2025 that has a lot of really great information about your role as a fiduciary and our role too as advisors and just administrative best practices. So those are a really nice value add. We're doing another fiduciary training series this year, Fiduciary Fundamentals, Best Practices, and in Action. And the first one of those is February 19th. Again, with all of our webinars, if you can't attend live, not a problem, you'll get the recording. And then here's our schedule for 2026. We have 18 different webinars slated. Some are more geared towards plan sponsors, and some are certainly more for everybody. So thinking your staff might find value in like the Social Security webinar, Medicare, 7 things no one tells you about retirement. So we really try to give a variety of topics. All right. And then on-demand webinars from 2025, again, are all out on our website. So some of our more common, our popular ones, every January, I do a retirement planning considerations and market update webinar. Um, Social Security and Medicare are very, very popular as well. And we like it because those resources live out there. And so if you are in need of this information, or say you're a plan sponsor and your employees are asking for additional information, you can just point them in this direction. All right. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate the opportunity to tell you about this new mandate coming down the pipe and some different options that you have as plan sponsors. There's a couple upcoming webinars here in February you can register for, and then my phone number and email address if you have specific questions. Okay, so if you have any questions you want to drop in the chat, feel free. It is kind of right at time. I know that was a lot of information that I threw out there at you. And then you'll get the recording of this webinar sent to you automatically. All right, I don't see any questions coming through. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.